Well, it's wonderful to see you all. Well, we can't really see you all. We invite you to turn on your cameras if it works technically, because it's really nice to talk to people instead of just talk to names. And then you'll probably get more out of us. So we're in Dallas. When Dallas first started as a meditation group or meditation center, and Pranaba and Parvati, who many of you know, were there for about a year, and then we came, and there's still some of the same people, which is so wonderful. And we were there for a few years, and then we came back to Nanda Village. And so this was in 1994 that we went there. So it's been a long time, and we're just really happy to connect with you all again. You know, it's funny because old friends, new friends, it's like different bodies but the same spirit. And so we just need people from all over coming together and sharing this light. It's really important right now. So Krishnadas is going to talk first, and then I'll talk again.
Should we say what we're doing now, or was that in some bio?
No, talk about the subject.
Okay. Well, it's good to be with all of you. I hope I see you had a very nice meditation and service before we came on. Then we joined you for some of it, and we feel the energy. So today's topic is extremely important, really. By thinking, can we arrive at understanding? And Master and Swami have a lot to say about that, because how critical it is. I mean, everything we do is based on some kind of thinking, arriving at some choice, some decision, and it affects everything. It affects our karma, both kind of overcoming past karma, by the choices we make, and then whether we're accruing new karma. So Master says that understanding is one of the most precious gifts or possessions of the soul. So we're all endowed with understanding. We are all endowed. So it's kind of like the soul has the 8 attributes, and from those 8 attributes, you can't really experience any happiness without peace of mind, some calmness without being prone for restlessness. So these are sort of like branches off the tree of the 8 attributes, and understanding is certainly one of those, because it's how our where we are in our heart, the purity of our heart, also the nature of our intellect, how pure that is, whether it's really manifesting the superconscious or super intelligence that we are endowed with, or whether it's mind-born. So, and there are examples for one, like, let's say Descartes, where Swami quotes him, "I think, therefore I am." Okay, that's a beautiful example, because then, then what Swami said is, no, I am, therefore I think. Consciousness created everything. Before there was any manifestation of anything physical or material in this entire universe, there was consciousness, Satchidanandam, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. So from that, all of creation manifested, including us. So God is part and parcel in us and in our soul. God is us as a soul, and we are endowed with that innate understanding, the pure understanding of the soul. That is our highest potential. Now, so Descartes gave a good example. I think, therefore I am. And what he arrived at by thinking wasn't true, or it was limited. So if he would have stayed at it and went more into the spiritual nature of reality, he would have came to the higher octave and said, no, I am, therefore I think. Like Sri Yukteswar said that, when that fellow came to him with all of these very intellectual, this pundit with all of these more intellectually mind-born quotations of the translations of the scriptures, whether it was the Gita or Mahabharata or some scripture like that. He just said, quotations I have heard in superabundance, but when am I going to hear anything from your own, born of your own experience? And that's the essential problem with just thinking our way through this world. You could think all you want, and you can come up with very clever definitions and descriptions and concepts and so on about the nature of reality, the nature of your own self, and where you are in your evolution, your spiritual evolution of consciousness. And you can be all wrong, and you could be going all wrong. But it isn't so black and white, is it? I mean, you could think through awakened intellect, you could think and come up with many good things, but it would still be limited if it didn't have the influence or sort of connection to the intuitive perception of your soul. So you could think, and then, but through calm thinking, without restlessness, because we are both heart and head, we're feeling oriented and reason oriented. So not like thinking is, unessential. I mean, our nature, the mind's nature is to think, and our nature is to feel. But it's through calm feeling we reach that higher octave of intuitive perception, and it's through pure reason, which comes by the influence of the purity of the heart. If Master says if it was only intellect, it becomes cold-blooded, rational, and without feeling. And this is what Christ did when he corrected the Pharisees. He said that they came down to intellectual hair-splitting of the scriptures, like your disciples don't, in the example of the reading today, your disciples eat without washing their hands beforehand. Or that other example when they chastise them for healing on the Sabbath, and Christ said the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So they, by this development and continued culture, spiritual culture they created with all of the laws that came from Moses and more that they created, they lost sight of the heart, and that it just became without feeling. So Christ came as I came to bring the heart of the law, which is mercy and love. So in the microcosm of our own self, we need to have both those elements. Thomas Aquinas is another great example where his Summa Theologica, he wrote everything that you can possibly think of about the scriptures and God and Christ. And it was a magnificent work. But by the end, when he had an actual spiritual experience of Christ within, he said, all that I have done, all that I have written is as so much straw. Because only that, without the spiritual experience, the direct perception of God or Christ or the Guru within us, it's limited. It will be limited. So I wanted to read from one of my favorite scriptures, the Rubat of Omar Khayyam. And this is from Quatrain 33. You could read the quatrain on your own. I mean, sometimes they're hard to understand. But this one does start out with, then to the rolling heaven itself I cried, meaning I cried to God, I pleaded with God, asking what lamp had destiny to guide? Like, how are we guided? Are we being guided by only intellect? Or just sort of the emotional restlessness of the heart? What is our lamp that is guiding our destiny? her little children stumbling in the dark. That's where we're at, stumbling in the dark without the marriage of pure reason and calm feeling. A blind understanding. So Master goes on, if you can just close your eyes, perhaps you can inculcate this better. As my soul soared ecstatically through heavenly spheres, I compared my joyous state with that of my earthbound brothers. It's Master speaking. I saw them stumbling about in darkness and confusion, dazed by ignorance and clutched at by misery. I saw them dragged forward by the chains of self-created karma, transported endlessly from human birth, fraught with fearful risks and uncertainties, to unwilling death. Not a very pretty picture, I know. What guides them? I demanded of omniscience. What lamp have they to lead them out of error? What wisdom to help them not to endure further suffering? And the inner voice replied, theirs is the blindness of their human intellects. Wise they may be in worldly ways, but in spiritual matters they are foolish, because ignorant. Their intelligence, lacking the light of all-seeing intuition, is not guided by understanding. So there it is right there. It's lacking because they're ignorant, their intelligence lacking the light of all-seeing intuition. So intuition is what we're after. And everything we're doing, everything we are doing, all of our sadhana, all our practices, hope, in a sense, all of our study, all of our contemplation, the pinnacle leads to pure intuition, because that's the only way we're going to advance spiritually and connect on the deepest level with the Guru and with God. So in the basic teachings of Raja Yoga, it says, the chief purpose of all yoga practice is to raise energy to the brain. That's the chief purpose of all yoga practice, raise energy to the brain. Now that energy is cosmic, pure cosmic energy, but intelligence, super intelligence, super conscious intelligence. That energy is what's going up our spine. And the more we can get it to the point between the eyebrows, the brain, but specifically in the brain at the point between the eyebrows, that is the portal, the window to deeper, pure intuition. Now, I'll end with this, with these 2 points. Why is it so important? Because, as I said, it's what guides us. So the more adept we are at through, and how do we get there? Daily sadhana. I mean, there's so many examples with brilliant minds, but they miss the point, where there's simple souls, simple saints that were illiterate, and they were in cosmic consciousness, But you have to go with your own nature. You have to go with your own nature, but just know that if you are a thinking man, thinking woman, the thinking needs to be blended with heart, and it needs to lead. But here at the point between the eyebrows will lead to the highest thinking. Look at Swami Kriyananda, 150 books, everything that he gave us. He was like a child. His heart was so pure, but he was so brilliant, beyond genius. So so two main points. Connecting with higher guidance. We need that intuitive perception, where we are going. And the second point is just plain being. If we are going to be in states of increasing bliss, communing with the Guru, communing with Master's consciousness, that's the portal to that. The ability to do that is through intuitive perception. It's being, it's experiencing. And that's really our goal, isn't it? Sister Gyanamata, Rajarsi Janakananda, brilliant high souls. They were like children, but they were able to, through their awakened inner intuition, their soul's power of intuition, they were communing with Master all the time on the very deepest levels that we can only imagine at this point. I have turned it over to Mantradevi now.
Now it's getting a little bit close to 10, so do you mind if I just keep talking, or do you want me to, we can start the next point.
Absolutely.
If you think.
Speak, and then we can interact more. Yeah, speak.
Okay. Well, so we've all had the experience of we have something going on in our life, we have a problem, and we just start going around and around and around with it, right? You just keep thinking, what can I do? What's the answer? Oh, I can't figure it out. This is just the problem that keeps coming up and keeps going around and around. And that happens to all of us because the conscious mind looks at problems. The conscious mind is there to help us be in this world and to figure things out. That's its job. And I'm reminded of one time, one of our members many years ago. She was a bit of a drama queen, you know. She was totally immersed in her problems and trying to figure out what to do. And one time she was just going around and around with something, and of course, as all of us, we want to do God's will. What is God's will for us? And so she shared this with Swami Kriyananda, and she just said, oh, and she was just so woeful, and she said, I just don't know what to do about this. It's so hard to know God's will. And he said to her, not unkindly, he just said, no, it isn't. And that's all. That's all he said to her. So he let her figure out what he meant. And after she went and meditated on it and thought about this, she realized, yes, I see. When you're all emotional and in your ego and you're trying to figure it out that way, no, you can't figure out God's will. You have to go beyond, and as Krishnadas was saying, you have to go to the intuition. And that's our biggest challenge, isn't it? Is to listen to our intuition and to listen in ways that you catch it before the problem arises. And that's what a saint does. A saint catches it. Swami Kriyananda, he caught it. He would catch it at the first inkling, and he would listen to it. How many times have, I know I have, you do hear it, and you ignore it. You think, oh yes, but that desire, it overrides what the soul is very quietly and very subtly trying to tell us. And there's only one way, and as Krishnadas was saying too, there's only one way to access that intuition, and that's through meditation and bringing energy up to here. And because our ego is vibrating at some conscious level, okay, some level of consciousness, to put it more accurately. And so it's vibrating, but where is it vibrating, and where is that intuition vibrating? Where is God vibrating? God is so subtle. He's not going to come and hit us over the head and say, okay, I'm giving you the answer just because you're asking. No, he can't do that because he can't communicate with you unless you're on the same level. And so we need to bring our level up to that level of intuition so that we can commune with that intuition, commune with God. So we have to always keep bringing our energy up. And Master said, he said, when you have a sincere desire and when you are trying to do the right thing and you're trying to intuit, God will come and set you on the right track. He will change your direction. There was a minister, I think it was some minister in Africa, and he was a real flame and fire and dogmatic, and he was just going to convert all these people, and he was doing his job as best as he could, but driving people crazy with how dogmatic he was. And Master's comment on him was, yes, but he has a good heart, and he has the right desire to serve God. So eventually, what will happen with him, this is me now, not Master saying this, but eventually what would happen with him would be that he would be turned on the right track. He would learn his lessons, and then he could do what he really wanted to do. So it's important to really keep tuning into that intuition as much as you can. I'm going to ask you something. I've often taught a class, recreate yourself is what I called it. And actually often it'd be this time of year because it's close to the new year. So let's recreate ourselves. And one question that I would often ask, and I would have people, let's do it together. I would have people close their eyes, and I'm going to ask them a question, and I want you to think of the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay? So close your eyes, get kind of still. What would you be doing with your life if you could do anything you wanted and that there was no parameters, no income, no money, no relatives, no responsibilities, that if you could just do exactly what you wanted, what would that be? What's the first thing that comes to mind? All right. That's all the time you get because it's the first thing that comes to your mind. And now, the second question, you can open your eyes for this one, is, are you doing that now? And, when I would ask this question, and there would be sometimes 20, 25 people in the room, and I remember one time, there were 23, this is being exact, and 2 people were doing what they wanted. Another time it was a group of maybe 14, and it would be, there was like 1 person doing it, what they really wanted to be doing. Now, one thing about this, and this is why it's a nice little exercise, is that you can change your life if you want, but you also, are you listening to your intuition? What is your soul telling you that you should be doing to bring happiness? Because, happiness is not guaranteed in this life. Has anybody noticed that? It's not guaranteed, but we're each given something. When we come into this world, we're given space and time. We're given a place in this world, whatever that place is, whether you agree with it or not, you're given a place, and you're given time. So how we fill that space and time, it's up to us. And it's up to us to fill it with joy. It's up to us to fill it with light. We're given a clean slate. Okay, that's not exactly right. That slate has been written on from the past for millions of years, but you're given a new slate. And it's like giving someone, crayons and art materials and saying, okay, make a new picture. It's up to you now to make this picture. And that's our job in this life, is to be lights like that and to make our own picture. And one time in Palo Alto in the school, there were 2 children that were having a mild argument. And one of them had made the statement that Joan of Arc and Moses were the same. And one of the little boys didn't agree with that. He said, they're not the same. How can you say they're the same? One's an old man and lived before Christ and didn't even know Christ, and Joan of Arc lived after Christ and tuned into Christ. And the girl said, very wisely, she said, well, they're the same because they both listen to God. And that's what we need to really, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for the word to really hone and really tune into our intuition and to really perfect that ability to do that. Because as soon as we do that, we'll catch it right away. And then choosing to tune into that will give us the answers. How many times have you gone around, like I said before, around and around, and you didn't find the answers? And then later the answer came in the shower, or you're out for a walk, or you're talking to a friend. And that's the way intuition often happens. We're giving our love to God, and He answers when we're receptive. He answers when we're relaxed. He doesn't answer when we're tense. And we can't come to any understanding in that way that's very deep. So we have to perfect that. Now, I had a couple of things I wanted to say with that. Just that this is just a little funny story, because it's on the topic of sanity and insanity. And insanity is when you think that your own point of view is so real that you can't tune into any other reality. That's what that means. And so it's like when people get so into their ego and into their own reality, you can't tune into others. And so we need to watch that. You know, getting in, not that any of us are insane, but getting into that reality that is embracing all realities and tuning into all realities. And there's a funny story of a man in Africa. He was a bus driver, and he had a bus full of mental patients that he was transporting from one city to another hospital. And he stopped at a bar to have a drink. He couldn't resist. It was an illegal bar, nonetheless. And when he came back, all the patients were gone from the bus. So not wanting to admit that what he had done is just let them all go, he went to a bus stop where there was a whole bunch of people sitting waiting for the bus, and he told them they could all have a free ride. And so he took them all to the mental institute in the next city. And then he told the officials there, he said, now this is a very excitable crowd, and they're very prone to having delusions. So they're going to be a little hard to So it took 3 days to sort it out. Can you imagine? So it's like sometimes other people don't agree with or accept our reality. I mean, for 3 days, each one of these people, their reality was not being accepted. And so it's like, let's open up and see each other's realities more. Try to tune into that. Listen to people. Listen to what God is trying to tell you. It's very important. And He'll direct you in the right way. And really know that Master is right there with us every moment. I want to read something, and I'll end with this. Is a quote from Swami. And he said, once when I felt I was having an exceptionally difficult time, I said to Master, please bless me. He looked at me and through me with his great luminous eyes, and then replied with such profound gentleness, I am blessing you all the time. So much I cannot even say. So much. It is better to not even ask. Just receive it. And so receive God's blessing. He's right there with us every single minute. But sometimes we can't hear because we're too busy thinking. So busy. And so let's try, because it's so important right now to be bright lights in this world with all that's happening. It's very, very important for us to shine that light. We can't do it if we're thinking all the time. So meditating more, tuning in, asking Master. So God bless you all. So now and just to say, when Krishnadas was describing us, and he said, well, should he say what we're doing here? Just to say quickly, we both work at the Expanding Light, and Krishnadas works with groups, and I work with creating programs and writing copy for it and supporting the teachers and counseling, and we both counsel the guests, which we don't have guests yet. And we're about to have guests because the Expanding Light is opening up again. And in March, we have a wonderful program, and actually it's with Sagar, for our Mahasamadhi, the promise of immortality. That will be our first program, and then after that, we're open. So we really look forward to seeing you all, and maybe at some point, you can come to the Expanding Light as a group and do a group retreat. That'd be wonderful. So, Supriya,
and join us on one of our pilgrimages that we lead.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, but anyway, it'd be great. Mayatri and Supriya, you have such wonderful retreats going on. It'd be wonderful to have you all.
Yeah, we
Maybe
do
have any thoughts or questions. And I see one chat, and therefore, there you go.
Oh, that was just me when Krishnadas said that at the
Thoughts
very
or something
beginning.
you'd like to talk about? Something pertinent in your life right now, or in the world right now, or in our inner worlds?
So now we offer, people know how to do this because we've been doing it for nearly 2 years now. So I'm sure your minds have been stimulated with some of the inspiration.
Let's just...
Can you not hear me?
I wanted to clarify something.
I guess they can.
The act or practice of meditation is, and if we're doing it, as we're guided, as we're taught, just trying to keep our mind at the point between the eyebrows. I mean, we start right off with that, doing the energization exercises. It makes them most effective if the more we can hold the mind there as we're doing them. And then in meditation as well, through all the practices. And what that does is that sort of exercises, in a way, that muscle of intuition. Because when we say, well, when we're out and about, so to speak, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and we need to act, then having exercised that process or ability, then we can come from a higher place in our activity. Mm-hmm. So it's really, we're not meditating all the time, as you know, and probably less than anything else we're doing. But as we move through our world, the better we are, the more adept we are at drawing on our intuitive perception of the soul, the better off we'll be for us and for everyone.
Supriya, were you talking and we weren't hearing you? And
Yeah.
I think, Mark, you asked if we were
Okay.
hearing you. I don't know why we're not.
Can you hear me now?
We did hear you before.
Maya,
Can you
she
hear
raised-
anybody?
Speak again?
Can you hear
Okay.
any of us?
Hearing you.
See if this is on.
Oh, okay. Just a sec. Thanks for saying that. Here we thought we couldn't hear anybody. And I think the speaker wasn't on. It got off because it's on battery. Now try.
Okay,
Yes.
can you hear us now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, so now we're back to what we're used to, meaning we can interact a bit and you're hearing us. So that was great. So first of all, what you said, both of you, wow, so much going on here. I love what Krishnadas started in the very beginning about I am, therefore I think, rather than the other way around. And, that great I am that Jesus said, or I remember as a child being taught that the great I am was Jesus. Now, maybe my interpretation of it has changed since I was a child. And isn't that the truth? We are, meaning I am, and therefore we have this great brain, and we can process and enhance our knowing of intuition. And that's what we're all here to do, really, is to connect with God, and it happens through our practices. And so very, very grateful for that. I'm going to read, if I may, something in the chat box, and you can respond to this. Now, this is about your pilgrimages, and then perhaps we can, other people can have thoughts or questions on either the reading or things that Mantradevi and Krishnadas have said. But this one does ask, so let's address it right now. It says, I feel Master so close with the two of you. So that is someone who literally knew you when you were here. I'll just say that. Could you tell us about your trips that you are leading? So that's the pilgrimages that perhaps people don't know about. Maybe you can start that, and then we'll open it up to others.
Okay. This year we chose to stay close because of the unknowns, uncertainties still about the
Stay in this
the
country.
pandemic. Because you have to plan these things ahead of time, and you don't know what. But we're grateful that it seems to be softening. So I'm going to lead one down to the LA shrines immediately after Spiritual Week. So some people will fly right into LA, or some people will come to Spiritual Week, and then we'll take a train down together. That's local, you might say, compared to international. And then in the fall, I'm going to lead. Mantradevi will join us down in Encinitas for the first one. But then in the fall, we had the idea of making the village a pilgrimage place, because there are so many people now that have been meeting us online for the last 2 years. They've never been here. So, and they may come for Spiritual Week or not, who's to say, but in the fall at Thanksgiving, there'll be a pilgrimage here, because we have the initial shrine temple at the meditation retreat and Babaji's cave, and then here, now the new Temple of Light, Lahiri Mandir, the Moksha Mandir, the shrine that we manifested here at our house for Krishna. All of those are going to be, and so we're going to do a beautiful walking kirtan from the big statue on the hill of Master. I don't know if you read that was placed, if you haven't seen it yet. And then over to Shiva's statue in Kailash, and then over to Krishna shrine here. So we're going to do a strolling kirtan. So there's some nice elements of that. But that's local. And then next year we're planning Spain in May, because we have to be there at May 30th when they unveil San Fernando, his body. And we're contemplating maybe even doing a second pilgrimage in the same year of India in the fall, or we would just wait till January and February of 2024, because it seems so far away. I'm thinking, is there any way we could swing 2 pilgrimages in 1 year of Spain and India, because it's been so long since we've been to either one.
So Spain will be in May of 2023, and May and June, beautiful time in Spain. And we follow in the I was going to say in the footsteps, but of Master when he said he was a king in Spain, and Swami was his son. And it's one of the most wonderful pilgrimages. And then we go to St. Teresa of Avila, St. John of the Cross, and all the places where they were. And then we go to Fatima in Portugal, and where Divine Mother made appearances to children there. So it's a really wonderful time to be together if you want to be in a different country. If you want to be in this country, come here.
And the king was San Fernando III, Master was in that incarnation, and Alfonso X was Swami in that incarnation.
Yeah. So it'd be great to have you. And Ellen, thank you for saying that. We would love to have you with us, and we feel close to you too. Having you on pilgrimage would be wonderful. So, and anyone else?
So first of all, Mark, are we going to come off of Facebook now? Typically, this is when we do come off of Facebook so that people feel more to interact. And, it's just us now. Here we are, just the one. That is brilliant. The pandemic changes things, hasn't it? And the fact that, okay, because of the pandemic, you're pushing further out to revisit and take the pilgrimage to Spain. But meanwhile, you're so creative. I love it. See, this is the intuition, the divine wisdom coming, that you're going to do the pilgrimages down to where literally walk in Master's footsteps of the places down around Los Angeles and Lake Shrine and Forest Lawn and all that. I've done that, but not on a pilgrimage. Highly recommended to go with people who have been there so many times, Krishnadas and Mantradevi, and be led through a holy pilgrimage. And that's truly the attitude of it, of a pilgrimage. It's not just a joy tour, and although there's a lot of joy, because Master's been there. And to walk on the beach where he walked on those grains of sand, that's exciting. And then to also do it in Ananda village. How wonderful.
You could go on pilgrimages yourself, and they're wonderful as well. Usually you spend a lot of time, much more time, on the details, which can take you, and that's part of the experience too, but it takes you, out of just pure being. And I always say it's like going to Disneyland with your parents, although you are paying for it yourself. But, we just lead you around by the hand, and you just sort of stay in bliss while we're taking care of all the details. And also, reminding you of the inspiring places, and that you've probably read about and, many times, but when you're at that very site, and we cite, the passage, Master and Rajasi walking hand in hand on the bluff, or at Swami's beach. Oh, this is where that happened, and so it's really inspiring.
Yeah, and no, Master's room is not open right now in either Encinitas or Mount Washington. They're right now, but the pilgrimage is in July. So by then we're hoping. They did open the gardens in Encinitas, and we can always go to Master's Crypt because that's always open, and go to the other places.
I think SRF is just like us. They're champing at the bit too to open up things, because they want people to experience these holy sites. Mm-hmm. So by July, we're very optimistic that things will open up, and we'll be able to book our appointments, reservations with them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let's open this up for others.
Looks like Eric has his hand up.
Hey, it's good to see y'all's faces.
Nice to see you.
Hey, it came to mind just out of the blue. I'd love to go. I'm not going to be able to go on anything this next year, but if you ever have a virtual pilgrimage, I'm all in. That could be one of your second options. Just have one guy or one gal go around with a little one. That may be defeating a little bit of the purpose of being there, but second best.
Well, it's not a bad thought, because with Keshava and Daya in India, they are co-leaders. More recently, Keshava, as we go around India with their local knowledge and so on. But they weren't able to travel in many of their own pilgrimages that they offer, these smaller trips. So they put one together, I think, to Varanasi, that was virtual, and it they had a lot of people take part in that. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Why not?
Maybe we can do it simultaneously when we're over there leading these.
I don't think you need to have too much effort, so to speak. Just one person who's an expert at following you around and taking the pictures. Yeah. It doesn't even need, it could even be recorded. But one other thing I wanted to, Yeah, the question you asked earlier, Mantradevi, is a question I like. And, are you doing it? It's if you had all these holds barred. But one thing that tends to come to mind always is we always tend to think of our work as that thing you're mentioning. If you could do anything you wanted. And I almost never think of it that way. I always think of, Jesus was a carpenter, and he was a carpenter up until the last 3 years of his life. And basically, he was always doing what he wanted to do fully. He was sharing with people and seeing them in a way and inspiring them in a way that they became greater than the greatest that they could be, I think, tuned into who he was. And in a sense, a second way of asking that question might be, through your work that you're doing now, are you doing it exactly as you'd like it to be? I'd have to say that almost everybody practices how they see people and how they share. And the spiritual aspects are, not everybody's always going to be able to do exactly what they want to do in that sense. But we always have every moment of every day that ability to share and be in a way. And in that way, I would answer, I am doing what I want to do. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for adding that and bringing that up, because in a 10-minute talk, you can't cover everything.
I know. It's and I'm not taking it in any certain
No,
way.
I know. No,
Bring it up,
and
yeah.
so I'm really glad you're saying that, because actually, like when I do this whole weekend course, it was like, okay, let's go on to what are you doing? What's your attitude with what you're doing?
Very
It
good.
really doesn't matter what we're doing. It's the attitude that we're doing it with. And God doesn't care what we're doing. So often people say, oh, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? I want to do what God wants me to do. And the real answer is God doesn't really care. He just looks at your heart. He just looks at the attitude you have. You can be serving and just doing the greatest job with a terrible attitude, and that's not furthering your spiritual growth. Or you can be doing dishes in the Expanding Light kitchen, and you're doing it with a smile, and you're doing it with the love and everything, and you're just this magnetic little ball of light that everybody's drawn to. So good point, and thank you for saying that, because it's very true. It doesn't matter what we're doing, it's how we're doing it and the thought that we're doing. Although it's good to do what you love. Do some of at least what you love, even if it's just a hobby.
I'm glad you said that about the hobby, because the first thing that popped into my mind was golfing.
Krishnadas likes to golf.
Of course, that's a joke. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I've been sort of watching, tuning into all this, and at first I wanted to say something and I didn't get a chance, and then somebody else said something. I said it all fed into this whole topic of intuition and everything, because the first thing I wanted to say was, what came to was I tuning into some thought form, because the first thing that came to my mind was pilgrimages, and Ellen put the thing in the box, and so Supriya went to that first, and then I was thinking, okay, pilgrimage is great, and you're talking about pilgrimage, but how can I ever afford it? And then Eric came on, and he said, you need to have some video people to, do there we go. There's intuition, and it's talking through some other people, which God does. So I was just going to share that with you. We figured out how we can pay for pilgrimage to go with you guys to, do exactly what we want to do. Thank you, God.
There you go.
All that is to say that we're volunteering to be your
I got that.
Well, as long as you can pay for the trip somehow.
I think you'd be a very good video man, Mark. I think
I'd make a great grip.
yes, you would.
I thought Maitri was the videographer.
Oh, actually,
I'm the producer.
I think, and I think she's maybe shy about it now because it's been such a long time, but I think she's got a great eye.
I'm the producer. I'm more the producer,
Yeah.
director producer kind.
Well, Mark, you're a videographer too, then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what he's been.
And that's the
He's
division, and that's the general division of labor in our house. Anyway, she's always the director. And
See? Okay. Good to have a director that knows what it's about, too. Having been the videographer.
I had a question though. I wonder if Mantradevi, if you would comment on the relationship of creativity and intuition. Being an artist as you are, you know, I don't know what your process is like. If it's totally intuitive, or you know, if it's purely intuition, or you know, how do you see how those relate?
Yeah, good question. Because when I paint, I try to tune into what Master wants, or what Divine Mother. I tune into Divine Mother more, and that's and I'll just relate something. Sometimes when I'm painting, and I just feel Divine Mother painting through me, and that's when I know Divine Mother's happy, because Master said that God. I'm sorry, I had to change the view here. The only thing that makes God unhappy is when we're unhappy. And so when we're happy, then God is happy because he lives through us, right? And so when I paint, I try to tune into that. And I've had it happen on several occasions. In fact, when I first started painting more, I think I was more intuitive with it. As I learned to paint, I got less intuitive for a while, because it's like, okay, now I know how to paint. It worked better when I didn't. And a couple of paintings came to me that I know came because I asked for not a particular image. I said, what's next? And I went up to the meditation retreat, and I saw the image of Babaji, the statue there, just in the morning sunlight. And there was my painting, and I felt a blessing from Babaji. Then a Divine Mother painting, I had it in my mind for years. You know how you have in your mind a project or a thought or something you want to create, and it just keeps hanging out there. And finally, I wanted to paint something to do with the 1,000 suns and moons, Master's chant. And I sat down to practice, I thought this was my practice painting, and it turned out that I felt a blessing through Divine Mother. And that painting, so many people have had it and bought it and enjoy it, that I know it didn't feel like me. Then I did another rendition of it, and that was my painting. That was Mantradevi's painting. And it's good too, it's nice. And people like it and get inspiration. But the first one had the real energy. So it's kind of like really just tuning in, asking God, and bringing him into it. Because I remember one time I was painting and nothing was going right. I was putting it here. No, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. That's why I switched from watercolor to oil, because oil is easier to change things. And then finally, in exasperation, I just said, "Oh, Master, Divine Mother, I need some help. Help me." It was amazing. All of a sudden, my hand is going, and it's doing this, and it's doing that, and it was all just right. So we don't always call in the most in the right way. You know, when I said you have to bring your energy up to the level of the divine, and when often I'm just, doing something and I don't call with all my heart, and when we do that, it would do. So we have to kind of manifest that. And one other thing is, Swami said, if you want inspiration, you need to be specific. And so he would be very specific when he would say, I want a song to do with, he's tuning into Egypt, right? And guess what song he got with that, right? It's the
Isis was
it's
one.
the Isis song. And so you have to sometimes be very specific, and that's when I used to say, I need a painting, or you need some music, or you need whatever it is that is your way of being creative. I need to know this. I need a new class. Okay, I need to know that. So being specific, and then really asking sincerely. I think those are the two main points after all that I'm making.
Thank you. So I believe I've seen the Babaji painting, but I don't think I've seen the Thousands of Suns.
Actually, it's hanging on the wall.
Oh,
Right?
well, there you go.
Okay, let's see if it'll.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that one.
I think I have seen that one. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Is there do you have a website? Is there a place online to see your artwork?
You have a website now, it's Etsy.
Yeah, my Etsy site. And I have my older stuff, but now I'm doing very different. Now I'm doing abstracts. And you know what? I think I'm finally doing what I want to do with my painting. And at first I wasn't liking it, and it wasn't as good, but now it's starting to come through, and that's abstract paintings kind of tuning into light and color and texture. Those are not on the website. So just look up Mantradevi and then Etsy.
It's in the website. It
So-
got put in
Oh,
the.
so
I
put
just-
it in the chat box.
Yeah.
Thanks, Spring.
Yeah, just Mantradevi and Etsy. And that's a lot of my watercolors, and I haven't put my abstracts much on there yet. So thank you for asking.
Well, thank you.
They're actually beautiful. I happen to have one hanging in my bedroom right over my bed. I see it every day, and I literally think of you.
Oh, thank you.
Mantradevi's been a dear spiritual counselor for me since 1995. When you were here, I remember many a times together. So
Well, it's been a long time. We've been
it
friends.
has.
Yeah.
So someone asked in the chat, do you have a link for the Spain pilgrimage?
Yes. Look on the Expanding Light website, expandinglight.org, and there's a little tab that says travel, spiritual travels. Just scroll down the front page, actually, and it's there at the bottom.
Well, there's a banner with, yoga, meditation, different things. One is spiritual travel. If you
Right.
click on that, then it goes to all of the
All the
trips.
yeah.
Yeah, in chronological order, I believe.
So
So we are getting close to the end. We don't want to keep them too long. So anyone else who would like to say hi or ask a question, please, and feel free to open cameras, because as you know, in the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to be closing down. So I'm going to mute. Who wants
I'll
to say
just say
hi?
hello. I love you guys.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
hi, Victoria.
Hi. I came outside because I just moved 2 days ago, so there's all just boxes in the house. But I was just going to say about your intuition that I was praying to Master to guide me to where to live. And I was in Chico living in a little rental house, and I'd been looking at houses to buy in Sacramento, near the Sacramento Center. And the real estate market is insane. So I decided over Christmas just to rent. I'm done. I'm not looking at houses anymore. And then on January the 3rd, I get this email from Zillow. And it's a house about 1.5 miles from the Sacramento Center. And the address was 10833 Ambassador Drive. And when I saw the 10833, I just said, I'm buying that house. And, I really just felt like Master had sent, I said, what I had asked for, I said, I need a sign. I need a sign that what it is I'm supposed to do. Now, of course, I've never told anybody in my family that that's why I made an offer on this house, but I just felt divinely led to make an offer. And then I said, you know what? If I make an offer and they take it, then that means I'm supposed to be here. So I moved in 2 days ago and I'm surrounded by boxes and chaos, but I hope this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Is it the right house? Does it feel right?
In many respects, it does. I'm just a little terrified. I don't know. I haven't bought a house on my own before. And, I always have my husband to help with that kind of stuff. And so it's a little terrifying, but I really feel like the 10833 just spoke to me and that it is right. I just have to get past the chaos of the move. And I happen to be looking out at the American River. My house, it backs right up to the American River bike trails and it's beautiful. But the house does need some work. So, we'll work through that. But anyway, I just went with my intuition on that and trust,
But I love that there was two signs in one. I mean,
Yeah.
108 and then Christ 33.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's wonderful.
But you have to have a little bit of courage to
Yes, a lot
listen
of
to
courage.
that
Good job.
inspiration.
Yeah.
But I love you guys, and I'm going to come to your pilgrimage of the village because as many times as I've been there, I think it would just be amazing. And I have not seen the Temple of Light, so
Yeah. Oh,
I'll be
great.
there.
Oh, good. Well,
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
You too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you all know, or Victoria for a while lived in Waco, Texas. She and her husband moved down here. And we would occasionally get to see her. And then after he passed, eventually she's been back to California. But she has so much service, full energy within her. She has stayed connected with Ananda in Texas when she was in Waco, certainly, but also since she moved back to Chico, and still is. And she's behind the scenes sometime doing some technical stuff for us and relieving Mark, who does 98% of our technical stuff. So, Victoria, we so appreciate you. And I'm sure she'll get involved in Sacramento, but not too much, Master.
Well, and also the virtual community at Ananda's online virtual community.
Oh, many of us are part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Victoria, you're all over the place. You're omnipresent. Yeah. So.
Okay, folks. There's Susan in California. There's Mallory right here in Dallas, another very serviceful person at everything we do here for many years. Anybody else want to open up cameras?
Do you see what Mallory put in the chat box there?
I did. Mallory says, Mallory, do you want to say? She says, I got on this path by intuition.
Does you want to share that with us? See her.
Oh, I'm on my phone. I didn't know how to unmute. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to Unity and I wasn't happy with it, and so I was dating this man and we decided we wanted to move out of Dallas, and we decided California, and he got a job interview in Grass Valley. And I saw Ananda online and I said, let's take a tour. And so we took a tour of Ananda, and I saw that altar of the 5 masters and just pranamed, and I knew this was my path. So it was a little bit of my intuition and a lot of Yogananda leading me, setting it up. And I often think I have to do 3/4 of the work, but really I only have to do my part. So
Great.
Well, happy for you.
Yeah, really. You know, Master is leading us all the time. You know, just like when I said that, what Swami said to Master, and Master said, I'm with you all the time, and he's always guiding us. And then all of a sudden we see how he is, and we're surprised when he's doing it all the time. So,
Good to be reminded of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're just children.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and being with us and giving your talk.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing. That's really, yeah. So, shall we end? How do you usually end?
Yeah, sorry, I was typing into the chat. I just wanted to put in there, as you said, Master said, to those who think me near, I am near. I mean, that's just a vibrant quote that I remember when I forget that he's near.
Right.
Yeah.
Gallery.
So thank you guys, for everybody. This is open camera time.
It really is.
Really.
So get Supriya to come
And
on
Spain,
one too.
Spain is so beautiful at that time of year. The California has the yellow poppies, but in Spain they're red. They're blood red. So as you're driving, even what we love about Spain, I mean, we love all of our pilgrimages, but Spain, it's less time in transit and more time at the sites because the loop isn't that far. The farthest we drive from, let's say, Sevilla to Avila is 4.5 hours, 5 hours. That's the longest. Otherwise, it's about an hour or two, from place to place. But as you're traveling, there's, along the roadside, beautiful wildflowers, fields as long as you can see of sunflowers. And then we get to these spots, and they're ancient Roman bridges over the river. We walk to the restaurant. It's a beautiful trip.
And the food is to die for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our guide, it's funny because we went to Spain on a reconnaissance trip and we almost starved to death because they eat meat there everywhere, and getting vegetarian was really hard. So guess what happened?
We were really concerned.
We were concerned. And so guess what happens? The tour company gives us this guide, and it turns out he's a vegan. And he found all these restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, and from a garden to table restaurants, and creative. They would create their own. And anyway, turned out we were like well fed.
Because we do have to, you stay with the culture, and it's to this day, there's a long, I don't think people are taking a siesta anymore, but, there's a break between in the afternoon. So things open up in the morning and then again in the evening. So there's this long break in the afternoon where we can go to some of the Alcazar castles or whatever, but typically we just have a 2-hour lunch and we just chat and visit. And
you can't not.
Yeah,
actually.
and then it's
that's
like
how long it takes.
6
an hour
courses,
and a half to 2 hours.
So someone said at the end of the first one, this wasn't marketed right. You should call this, exquisite cuisine of Spain or something like that. It ended up being a feature.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. So that's in 2023, right?
Yeah, that's about a year from now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
May.
meanwhile, it's Ananda Village and the Los Angeles area and Masters areas. All right.
We're sitting here really hungry, so thanks for talking about the food. It's 12:45 here.
Oh, you better get to your lunch.
God bless you.
Thank you so very much, you guys who were the initiators, who were the founders, co-founders here in Dallas, and still hanging out with us occasionally. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you, and we'll see you again.
Good to be with you all.
Yeah, good to be with you all.
We're always together in spirit.
Yeah, let's just end with a little prayer, just saying, Divine Mother, great masters, thank you for your many blessings. Our lives are yours. We're here to serve you. Help me to intuit your wisdom in all ways and to be your light. Om, peace. Amen.
Thank you for reeling us back in in a beautiful way. So we always give a minute here. Everybody open cameras. And from Texas, you know how we end most of our satsangs? We say, everybody open your mics. Let's say it together even. Ready?
Yeah, just one
Wait.
1 second.
Oh,
just
wait.
1 second. I can't get the view. There, we got everybody.
So
Okay.
open cameras, open mics if you'd like to. There's Frank and Austin. So we'll say it together. Ready? Namaste.
Namaste,
y'all.
Good to see everybody. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Dinah. Nice to see you, Dinah, even though I can't see you. Bye.
Bye,
Bless
Melissa,
you all.
Michael Lee, Ellen, Dinah, Mal.
Blessings.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thanks, everyone.
much.